Yeah. So welcome everybody to the Unity of Livonia Miracle Study Group. It is Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. How am I doing so far? I haven't messed up yet, have I? I hope
Superb.
Well, here, let's see. Pat, did Pat leave?
She did.
Okay. Yes.
But she's back. She's back.
All right.
Yeah, I fell off.
Pat. So why don't we go ahead and get started with our agenda? Tonight,
I do have her number. I found it.
Okay. You might just email that to me at some point.
I can do that. Yep.
Since we've started recording.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Hello.
Ron, are you there?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Good, buddy. Good to see you. Thanks
Good
for
to see everybody,
sir. We were just getting ready to get started, so as usual, you're right on time. Ron, I was gonna tease you and say Ron for peace. I've always liked that handle for you, my friend.
Thank you. Works for me.
You've all heard of Wayne Dyer, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. What about the Tao Te Ching?
Oh yeah.
Tao Te Ching. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Boy, I can't bring anything new for you guys. But
old is good.
But be that as it may, I brought a video with Wayne Dyer talking about the Tao Te Ching. Once again, why do I bring these things to a Course in Miracles study group? Is to show you we're not the only ones. So let me, if that's all right, let me just play it for you. It's about 7 minutes long. So I'll do a share screen here and see if we can get this one going. Everything runs slower when it's coming through Zoom, I've learned.
Change your thoughts.
Lessons.
Based upon the wisdom of the Tao, and your life will change. There's many principles to live by in the Tao. First, remind yourself that there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Bring happiness to all that you do. You accomplish much by trying less. It's so inconsistent, isn't it, with what we lived in the Western world. But the less you try, when I go out and swim in the ocean, and I do it almost every day, I try to do between 30 minutes and an hour every day, being out there in that ocean. And I just get out there, and if I try less, my arms just seem to know what to do, and the breathing just all works, and and I can swim all day. As soon as I try, as soon as I struggle, as soon as I start trying, the minute that I move myself into trying, it's like if I were to take this little cap here and drop it right there and say, I'm going to try to pick this up. I'm going to try to pick this up. This is what Lao Tzu was speaking about. So all of this, I'm trying, I'm really trying. All of this is called, in reality, not picking it up. That's what that's called, not picking it up. But when I just get easy and do less. See yourself, the Tao says, in everyone you encounter. A great lesson. Every single being, especially the ones that we read about who we're told are our enemies. See yourself in them. Know that whoever they are, wherever they live, they want what we want. They want what I want. They want to be at peace. They don't want to be always struggling. They They don't want to be sick. They just want to be loved, whoever they are. I know the skepticism of that. It's like, yes, but, all of the yes, but if they got it too. See, Lao Tzu wasn't speaking to, well, some are going to get this and some probably won't. He was speaking to all of us. Trust in others, the Tao says, to know what's best for themselves. Trust in that. Trust in the pliability, the flexibility of your babies. God, those little babies, they're so great when they're like, 2 weeks old. You can take their foot, put it behind their neck, stick it around here like this, put it in their mouth. They're so flexible. I mean, you can do anything. You pick them up, you turn them upside down. You watch them when they're starting to learn to walk. And they run, crash, they go down into the walls and all of this. And you think, oh my God, this kid will never walk again. Up they go, and they don't. Trust in their flexibility. Live without attachment and be generous. Be strong by bending. By bending. We need to learn this in our lives. We need to learn this in the world. It's not so important to be right. It's so much more important when you have a choice to be right or to be kind. Always pick kind. Always pick kind. Practice radical humility. Live low. Live low like the ocean. Stay low. And all the streams will come to it. That's why it's so powerful, because it doesn't lord anything over anyone. And rather than looking for miracles, see everything as miraculous. Everything in your life. There was a man who had a Tao experience, what I call a quantum moment. His name was John Newton. He lived back in the beginning of the 18th century. And he was crossing the ocean. He was a slave trader. He had a ship full of human cargo that he was going to trade into slavery in the most hideous practice that was so common at that time in our history. And in the middle of a storm, on his way over there with all of these people, he was 22 years old or 23 years old. And he thought he was going to die, and he thought it was like he must have hit a hurricane or something out there that was before satellites could warn people. And while he thought he was in that state of dying, he took out a pencil and a paper, and he wrote on the back of an envelope, he wrote, "I once was lost, and now I'm found." And it was grace. It was grace that taught my heart to feel. It was grace that brought me home. And when the storm was over, he had a moment. He reconnected to his source. Anybody out there can reconnect to the source, to the Tao, and become a being of Tao. Remember, it's a return trip. And you can make that return trip while you're alive. Remember the parrot. He knows much more than we did. And he returned back to Africa, and he released the slaves, it is said. And for the next 55 years of his life, he shifted and became the most ardent spokesman as an abolitionist to abolish that hideous practice of slavery. That what he devoted his life to it. A former slave, it's like going from Saul to Paul, from being a person who crucifies and murders Christians to being the author of a big portion of the New Testament as St. Paul. In a moment, it's possible for any of us. I close this beautiful presentation on the Tao, Cecilia, with a poem that was written by a woman. Her name is Naomi Long Madgett. She's from Detroit, went to Wayne State University. She was named the Poet Laureate of Detroit, an acclaimed African-American poet. Listen to these words. It sums up all that I've been saying. I wouldn't coax the plant if I were you. Such watchful nurturing may do it harm. Let the soil rest from so much digging, and wait until it's dry before you water it. The leaf's inclined to find its own direction. Give it a chance to seek the sunlight for itself. Much growth is stunted by too careful prodding, too eager tenderness. The things we love, we have to learn to leave alone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Let me see where we are. There you are. Let me see. I think I forgot to do something. Hold on.
I take that vast sweep of evolution from starting
Oh
from
my
the void,
goodness.
the silence, the no say, and the mystery of the emergence out of that, of potential.
Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. What'd you think of what Wayne Dyer is saying that the Tao Te Ching says?
It's the opposite of what we've been taught. We've been taught to work hard, try hard, be in control. And this is saying, at least to me, the opposite. Let it go, let it be.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, the big voice is about trying and grabbing control, but there was always that little voice in the background since we were kids, just a little quiet voice. Row, row, row your boat gently down, right?
Yep.
So the voices were there. It's just that the preponderant voice, the loudest voices were given advice that we're just now starting to disregard and feeling better in our lives for having let that go. But the little voice has always been there, right? You remember Dennis the Menace? You're old enough for that. And when he had a decision to make, there was the little devil with the pitchfork jumping up and down. And then there was the little quiet angel on the other shoulder. And yet, paradoxically, at least for like-minded people like us, it's the quiet voice that's going to win out. It's the one that says, let go of striving and embrace relaxing. Trust that you are taken care of. There's no need for stress and strain. That's the way of A Course in Miracles and millionaire book writers like Wayne Dyer, and blue books like A Course in Miracles, and big books like the AA book. Seems like the quiet voices are going to prevail because the loud voices aren't working, right, Ron?
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember in A Course in Miracles, where Jesus says something like, "Will the devil with 5 pitchforks influence you more than a devil with 1? Will a louder voice make reality apart from what the quiet voice says?" So once again, we're back to a theme. The line in the Course in Miracles says, there are many versions of the universal curriculum. So tonight we heard it from a millionaire author and an ancient spiritual writing, the Tao Te Ching. Last night on ACIM Talks, we heard it from Barbara Marx Hubbard and her discussions of the universal human and the aware human that's aware that their nature is beyond human. That, she says, Jesus represented, as well as Buddha and all the other avatars. So I thought I'd bring in video night to get us in the mood. Any comments on that? All right. Yeah, Sue, welcome, by the way. We've been
Oh,
talking
thank you.
about you before you got here.
Oh, I hope it was good.
We were wondering if you ever got those supplements that I sent.
You sent supplements to me?
You know, the supplements we're studying over the summer.
Oh, those supplements. I was thinking of vitamin supplements.
I just thought of that too. Okay, I better clarify. But
No, I didn't.
all right, do me a favor.
Sure.
Send me an email like with your phone number
I will.
when you
I
can.
already sent
Yeah.
it to you, Jim.
Oh, all right.
I
Pat
did all,
already-
I sent it, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna track down your supplements no matter what it takes. Do you remember your question about?
Yes, I do. It isn't a question, but I
Certainly.
wanted to say, even though I came in, I missed part of it. I'd like to see it again. I love Wayne Dyer and I love what was being said. What just stood out beautifully was that every day is miraculous. And I included look for miracles. And even when I'm praying, you know, may we all have a miracle. We should have miracle after miracle. And they're saying every day is a miracle and every day is miraculous, and see it that way. And
Mm.
it was a wonderful, wonderful confirmation and reminder.
Just
Yes.
put it down if you haven't read it yet. Lesson 77 in A Course in Miracles. The title is I Am Entitled to Miracles. And see if that doesn't resonate with you also, if you like the statement from, you know, the video and that.
I would do that.
You see how many people are saying the same things.
Yeah.
We are not a small number of people, the people that believe in love, that believe in the reality of spirit. We're not a small number of people. It's just that we haven't mobilized around our convictions the way the other people have. I mean, other people invest millions and zillions into their structures to promote their messages, from news networks, right? To building economies, to large scale projects, to political campaigns. There are a lot of people that believe in love. But I think we've got to use some secular methods to promote our message, because it's a winning message. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
that's why
just-
we're here.
And I mean, forget all the speculation. The reason I love it is because I've been trying it seriously and it works. And you've all had those experiences too, to one degree or another, or you wouldn't be here.
Mm.
So I'm just saying there are millions of people that might if we could just engage on a larger scale, we might need to move to use secular measures to bring heaven to earth. See, you got me off preaching here. I'm sorry. Anything else? Anybody else? All right. Well, listen, we are up to the point, Sue, where we're getting ready to start our readings in the supplements again. And by the way, I sent you like a couple of more emails trying to see if you ever got those.
You
But,
just sent them?
Oh, I sent it after our session last time. I emailed you to see if you ever found it. And then I think today or yesterday, I helped you.
I'll double check again. I'll double check under search and
All
under
right.
spam.
Yes, ma'am. And with the phone number, I am determined to get that to you, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
So for
Then
those,
I can read.
all right. Well, let's do our reading assignments, okay? And maybe the best approach is, I know that Jan's not reading. Anyone else not reading tonight? Sue's not reading. Hilda, you reading?
No, sir.
All right. So I think we've got our first reader is Pat, second Joan, third Debbie, fourth Dee, 5 is Sweetie, 6 is Ron. That sound okay?
Yep.
And we're starting tonight. Now, I had that we were supposed to start on page 9, paragraph 3. Does that make sense? Wait, let me see.
I don't have the same page number, so are we
Well, why don't
in?
we could just start over from
No, what section are we? Are we in chapter 2?
process of illness.
Yeah, I'm there. Okay.
Has everyone got it? The process of illness?
Yep.
So we technically left off at, we finished 2 paragraphs.
Correct.
Did you want to pick up at 3 or do the whole thing? What say ye, Patricia? You get that prerogative as number 1 reader. I just make the rules as we go. What?
I'll start over because I don't remember those first 2 paragraphs. So
Sure.
if that's
Oh.
okay with everybody. Okay.
Yes.
As all therapy is psychotherapy, so all illness is mental illness. It is a judgment on the Son of God, and judgment is a mental activity. Judgment is a decision made again and again against creation and its creator. It is a decision to perceive the universe as you would have created it. It is a decision that truth can lie and must be lies. What then can illness be except an expression of sorrow and of guilt? And who could weep but for his innocence?
So what does the root word psycho mean? Like in medical terminology, whenever you see psych or psycho, what is the definition of psych?
Of the mind?
Yeah, mind. Okay, so just making sure we're all on the same page. So psychotherapy would be mind therapy, just to speak of it plainly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any comments on paragraph 1?
So
Okay.
you were going to share with us what sentence 7 means, and who could weep but for his innocence?
I didn't say that.
You didn't?
No, last time I said, I don't know what that means. Do any of you know what it means, Miss Newman?
But I don't think
See, when
you're
you
saying,
point,
okay,
it's something pointing back. No.
say it again.
What does it mean?
That was my question.
I didn't know the answer. All right, so where two or more are joined, somebody speak to that sentence on Dee's behalf. It's not my fault. Okay. Okay.
I think it relates to the sentence before it, where it says, what then can illness be except an expression of sorrow and of guilt, which makes me want to weep?
Beautiful.
I
Boy,
like that.
it's so good to have all these great minds.
Well, don't go too
So
far.
it's the only the illness would make you want to weep
Yeah,
for
No, thinking that, not the illness itself.
well, that's what they're calling it, though, the thinking illness, the psycho illness.
Yeah, the thinking that it's an
Yeah.
illness.
Yeah, that's what that sentence says. Yeah,
and so what I'm thinking is that it's the illness that would make you even need to claim innocence. And oh,
Mhm.
poor me, and all these terrible things are happening to me. And these terrible things, that's not reality. That's the illness talking, right? Pat?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading here. Yeah,
I like it. What is that helpful? So when I weep for my poor conditions, I don't need to change the conditions. I need to change your illness. You need therapy. You're seeing what's not there.
right.
If you saw what was, okay, here we go. Somebody turn lesson 52 in the workbook and just quickly read the first paragraph, lesson 52. It's a review lesson.
I am upset because I see what is not there.
And
Reality.
then read the paragraph, Pat.
Reality is never frightening. It is impossible that it could upset me. Reality brings only perfect peace. When I am upset, it is always because I have replaced reality with illusions I made up.
So it's the
illusions?
illness, not the reality. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's what it made me think of.
Yeah, that makes
Reality
it make
is
sense.
never frightening. So if I'm saying I'm a victim,
Cuando la vi en la tienda, yo dije, enseguida pensé,
Jan, are you talking to us or are you on the phone?
no, lo puse oficial ahí, sister.
All right, let me see. Hold on 1 second here. Let's see how well I do with my skills. All right. So where were we? Does lesson 52 saying the same thing as, and
I
who
think
could weep but for his innocence? Pat saying, what then can illness be except an expression of weeping for innocence? It's the illness, folks.
yeah, our misperceptions.
Yeah, we don't need to come in and solve the problem. We need to convince you there is no problem.
Right,
Make
right.
it up. It's like self-inflicted punishment. It's not punishment, it's self-inflicted suffering. Isn't that what all the spiritualities say?
Yep.
And you hear Buddha talk about non-attachment and be not attached to this world. And Jesus said the same thing. Metaphors, right?
Mhm.
All right, so here we are still in the first paragraph, right? Anything else? Joan, paragraph 2, please.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Pat, for helping us out on that. Joni.
Okay. Once God's Son is seen as guilty, illness becomes inevitable. It has been asked for and will be received. And all who ask for illness have now condemned themselves to seek for remedies that cannot help, because their faith is in the illness and not in salvation. There can be nothing that a change of mind cannot affect, for all external things are only shadows of a decision already made. Change the decision, and how can its shadow be unchanged? Illness can be but guilt's shadow, grotesque and ugly, since it mimics deformity. If a deformity is seen as real, what could its shadow be except deformed?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Comments?
Hmm.
Beautifully written once again to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know. So
Hmm.
I'll give you one more. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all your other problems will be taken care of.
Mhm. Mhm.
So simple.
All right.
Mhm.
Comments from anyone? Then we're up to Debbie for paragraph 3.
The descent into hell follows step by step in an inevitable course. Once the decision that guilt is real, it has been made. Sickness and death and misery now stalk the earth in unrelenting waves, sometimes together and sometimes in grim succession. Yet all these things, however real they seem, are but illusions. Who could have faith in them once this is realized? And who could not have faith in them until he realizes this?
Yes.
Healing is therapy or correction. And we have said already, and will say again, all therapy is psychotherapy. To heal the sick is but to bring this realization to them.
Yeah, but what if you have like pancreatectomy or surgery, or what is that? What if you have why am I having so much trouble? What if you have a heart attack, or what if someone fixes your heart attack? Isn't that a solution?
Or is it a different way to see your body? When someone does something to your heart, your physical heart, doesn't your body become different? And therefore, your mind could view your body, once your body's different, those messages go back to the brain, and maybe your brain will see your body differently.
Yeah, I could see it as a progression, but the point that I guess I'm leading to, and I think this section is leading to, is that ultimately there are no cures. You
No,
can keep working on symptoms like fixing the heart, fixing your little toe, fixing this part of your body and that part of your body, but those cannot possibly be solutions because they never touch where the problem is.
Mhm.
So, how many surgeries would you need to make sure you never need surgery again? How many? What's the number?
as many as it takes till you see it differently. Till your brain's convinced. If, you
Yeah.
know, it could be 0, it could be 100. You
Yeah.
know, because it's up to you to look at it differently.
So you get 100 surgeries and get hit by a Mack truck.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
You're dead.
See that nobody's working with solutions. Sue, what'd you say?
I said, you're dead.
And you got 100 surgeries and you're still dead.
Right.
So it's not a matter that you can change the outcome working at the level that we're working.
Right.
But if somebody tells me I'm not a body and I can embrace that and that becomes a different reality, then I can manage my body instead of being my body. And Jesus said, man is not defiled by what he takes into his body, but by what comes out of his body. That is what defiles us. Sue, I'll take your question here, and Debbie after that.
Thank you. Debbie made a very good point. I'm reading a book called The Way Out by Gordon. I think his name is Alan Gordon. Anyway, they took people who were chronically, they had chronic pain all the time. And it was done by Harvard University, Yale University, Mayo Clinic, and this Gordon, Alan Gordon, he had chronic pain and he devised a methodology, and they took this whole program, which is very similar to Unity, by the way, and they had everybody's brain, pictures of their brain before they did these exercises. Now, this was a long time that this took place, and these people had serious chronic pain and serious physical challenges. That was not in question. But through this whole program, they had no chronic pain, and they took pictures of the brain when they finished, and the brain was entirely different. And that blew my mind, I have to say.
Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of scientific studies that are confirming spiritual principles.
That's exactly right. And even the methodology was really reframing, which is what Unity is doing. You're changing your mind, you're changing your life. Here you're changing your mind, you're being programmed to believe that, now I haven't read the actual plan yet, but you program yourself to believe that this pain is going away and that it's gone and that it's not coming back and that it doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. And when you get through, you believe it. But more important, the brain believes it.
Yeah, interesting.
So
isn't it?
isn't that what happens in, you said your hypnosis, you do hypnotherapy. Isn't that what happens in hypnosis?
With long-term hypnosis, with really working it over and over and over. It doesn't happen once and you're all done.
Mhm. Good deal.
There's nothing that's a one-time job, and there's not a one-time tool either.
Debbie, did you
Thank
have a
you.
question or comment? No?
No, I mean, I could sum up what I was, it's
Yeah.
like, no matter what you do to your body, until your brain changes, nothing changes.
So you have to, cause and effect is the most fundamental law there is. And isn't it a big alternative to learn that the mind is causative? Have you heard that expression where they say, you think your mind is in your body, but in truth, your body is in your mind? Has anyone ever heard that saying?
Mhm.
Yeah. So there are all these kind of spooky aphorisms that we have heard and has resonated with a lot of us. Are there other comments before we move on?
I have one.
Yes.
There was a guy on the West Coast, out in San Francisco or LA, that was one of the best back surgeons out there. And he found that at least 3/4 or 80% of the people that came to him, problem wasn't their back. He wrote a book called Back in Control, and I can't remember his name, but I could get it if somebody wanted it.
No.
Where he discovered, or he looked into it, and he felt that what all these people were suffering from was lack of forgiveness to either people in their families or themselves or whatever. I mean, that's on the psychological end, but that's leading more to what we're talking about here, I think.
Yeah. So the supplements say that at their highest, there is no difference between spirituality and psychotherapy. Didn't we read that somewhere? Because Marianne Williamson quotes it in her book or something. So again, there seems to be a majority of people from all walks, all endeavors, that are starting to have thoughts like ours, right? Good deal. Thank you, sweetie. We're on paragraph 4, and Dee is the next reader, please.
The word cure has come into disrepute among the more respectable therapists of the world, and justly so. For no one of them can cure, and not one of them understands healing. At worst, they but make the body real in their own minds, and having done so, seek for magic by which to heal the ills with which their minds endow it. How could such a process cure? It is ridiculous from start to finish. Yet having started, it must finish thus. It is as if God were the devil and must be found in evil. How could love be there? And how could sickness cure? Are not these both one question?
I don't know. Are they? What are the questions that are both one question? What are the questions he's asking about?
How could such a process cure? And how could sickness cure? Perhaps.
Well, I'm reading it as sentence 8, Pat. What do you think? There are two questions.
How could love be there?
Yeah. it is as if God were the devil and must be found in evil. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
what's going on? What are they saying? You know, this is new to me. I haven't been through this before.
Well, it's saying we're upside down and backwards. We got it all screwed up. It's topsy-turvy.
I'm with you, Pat. Okay, the whole logic is upside down, but
Yep.
we can appeal to even your common sense. If I show you this compared to something else, it'll be easy for you to see the difference. The problem is you thought this was the only one.
Yeah.
You thought this was true.
Yeah.
And within
Right.
itself, everything in it. Remember the shadows that he's talking about that came from those thoughts of guilt that start to create a milieu of the thought. And you start seeing that everywhere. Notice that when the change of mind happens, you start seeing miracles everywhere. So
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished.
all I'm
Oh,
saying is the thought produces gigantic shadows, make up your whole world. Dee, I'm done. Yes, ma'am.
I'm in agreement with you. In sentence 6, it says, "Yet having started, it must finish thus." So if we start with the wrong premise, we're going to end up with the wrong conclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
You know,
in each thought system, it's internally compatible. Who is that? Pat? That had, or some who had?
yeah, I was just going to say that really goes with the previous paragraph, which says the descent into hell follows step by step in an inevitable course. So once you start on the wrong premise, you
It's
just
a
keep going and
slippery
going and
slope.
going. Yep.
Slippery
Yep.
slope once you start.
Yep. And then you get invested in it. So you keep doing more. You keep needing another pill, another surgery, another different
Right.
doctor.
Right. The mind is extremely powerful. Remember that we use the word latent here, Latent. It
Yeah.
means potential.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So wherever I put my mind, wherever I embrace in my mind, I enliven that power. I give it a specific use. I could give it use toward guilt and sin, and it would enliven that. There's that slippery slope. But
Yeah.
you'll get the same slippery slope if you enliven a different thought system. It'll
Yeah,
still
that's
work.
beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. Sue?
This is to me common sense, if you may. When somebody is very sick, regardless whether we brought it on for ourselves or however it is, whatever lessons we are to learn, if we are engaged in hate, lack of forgiveness, depression, rage, on and on, that sickness is going to get worse. There's no question about it. It will show its ugly head and get worse. If we are engaged in love and joy and gratitude as much as we can do it, that sickness may never go away, but you will have a much better experience working through the sickness. Some people will actually be cured and some people won't. And I don't know why. I have no idea why. And some people are living the experience to help somebody else. That's very possible according to the way we think. And some people may be living the experience to learn for themselves. The only one who will really know the answers is the person living the experience. And sometimes they won't know it until they're in heaven.
Yeah, I hear you. So listen, though, I'm really going to try to be loving.
Well, yeah, of course.
I mean, yeah, but I'm trying really hard. You see,
So you're doing nothing.
Do you see the bottle cap from the
Yep.
7-Eleven?
Wayne Dyer. Yeah.
Working on when things get better, I'll really have more time to really spend to be loving. I'm really trying. Remember Yoda said, you remember Yoda? He's a course teacher. He said, do or do not.
No in between.
There's no, so do you see the ego trick that says, well, let me keep studying the theory. Let me keep practicing the theory. Okay, I was in my prayer closet an hour. Tomorrow I'll be in there an hour and a half. Next 3 days, next. And pretty soon you'll start to see I can't be doing it while I'm studying it.
Right.
Do you see the ego's cleverness? Thank you for your comments there. Any other comments? Debbie, I see your hand up, right?
Yeah, sorry, I just, you know, you are love. How could you be anything but love? Simple, done, over.
Except for one thing.
You don't know it yourself.
Well,
once
you have to accept that.
Okay.
Nothing can happen without relationship, without unified goal. Nothing can happen. I'm sending love, but you're not receiving love. Let me ask you this. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody is there to hear it, does it make a sound? You've heard this one, right? The answer is no.
Because there's no receiver. The waves are there, the sound waves are there, but without something to receive them, it isn't a sound.
There's no message. Do you see where two or more always have to be joined for anything to happen? So, how could I not be love? Because I don't want to be.
Because you're hiding in your closet.
I start to learn there's no relationship between what I want and what I am. Comment. Debbie, you had something else?
I was thinking about the word decision. It's mentioned a couple of times, and I'm sort of wondering, help me with this, could we unconsciously make a decision to be sick? Unconsciously.
That is a great question. What say ye, my colleagues here in learning? Can we make an unconscious decision to be sick? Is that what you said, Joe?
Yeah, because we think we are a body and we think we are guilty. In a split second, we make this decision and we don't even know we made it. And there we are, we're sick.
And the other thing, as long as it's on the table, is remember, you can't make it alone. In order to activate, there has to be some level of agreement.
So you can't be unconscious then. You could be unaware, maybe.
Yeah,
I believe that
great.
That's
I
on the
believe that I'm
spiritual level. That's on the spiritual level you're talking. On the spiritual level, you could have made all kinds of decisions before you came into this world.
Yeah.
That's very different. On a physical level, even us tonight, myself included, we're judging. We're judging what's best for us. We're judging what's best for other people. We're judging sickness. We're all judging every day. It's a matter of how much we're judging and how much we let go of to love. But we're all judging.
Yes. Let me bring in Sadhguru. You know, I gotta do that, Sadhguru. Okay. How do you know you're alive?
You don't.
Because you're conscious. Okay. If I got you, when you go to sleep at night, are you conscious?
No, not that I know of. But yeah, you are on some level.
Aren't you dreaming?
You are.
When you go to sleep at night, you're still conscious,
You're still conscious.
but
Okay.
you're not aware of it. Is that a good analogy for what we're discussing? Could we have made a decision unconsciously?
Absolutely.
And the whole movement towards spirituality is to start doing everything consciously instead of being unaware and just letting it play out as in a dream. It's like managing, isn't it? Managing to be conscious all the time, to be aware all the time, and to stop using the excuse of taking what other people say and other people's judgments as your own. Your judgment comes from clarity, doesn't it? When you're always conscious. Awareness, right?
Mhm.
Did I get way off track with the
No.
question even? Who asked the question, did we make decisions? Was that you, sweetie?
No, that was Joan, but I wanted to answer that from
Good.
my perspective.
Help me out here, please.
Well, tomorrow I have an appointment with a surgeon to likely do a hip replacement.
Yes.
Now, 25 years ago, I started having trouble with that.
Yes.
But I started to believe that it was more in my head than reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've been wondering now, it's because it's so bad now I can't get around. So I have to do something if I want to keep the lifestyle that I have.
Absolutely.
In other words, I'm living alone and I wouldn't be able to live alone if I don't get this done. And I have to wonder why, because of what I know from like what we're reading here, it must be my decision to let this hip be such a problem. Am I looking to be taken care of by other people? And I hate that idea. My friends try to help me and I'm telling them, go away, I'm fine. And, So it's not in my nature, but I wonder if underneath it all, that's what I'm looking for. Because I never lived alone my entire life until my husband died, but that's 14 years now. And I mean, I have 3 kids that were all lived with me beyond. They're all gone now. I mean, they're all in other places in the United States. And so what is this about? And it keeps, and especially since I read that book about back in control, this isn't my back, it's my hip, but it's like the same thing. Well, do I need to forgive myself more? And I've done so much work. I really took account what what was his name, that Dyer, that what Dyer's point about working too hard to make something happen. And I mean, to try to fight off this idea that I need this hip done. But I finally gave in, and I'm having it done because while I'm living in this body, I just got to take care of the body the best I can. But I was not quick. I was told 7 years ago I needed to have it done. And I didn't have it done because I kept thinking it's in my head at some level. And so here I am, but now I'm giving in.
We
So
all love you. And
I
wish
know it's
you well.
I don't mean that out of fear.
However,
Yeah.
pardon me?
I don't mean that out of fear or looking for that kind of attention. I'm just saying, Nancy, it was interesting for me that Joan asked that question, because
Yeah.
it is the question that's in my head.
Well, on my behalf, on the group's behalf, Pat, it was just our offer of support.
Oh no, I know that, but like the
And
rest of
so
us,
I offer it gladly, not so much to say that you were coming to us out of fear, because talking to you, I see that age and maturity has made you fearless.
in the course.
Yes. And so just objectively bringing your question to the group, what are some of your comments about what Pat is saying? And by the way, are you asking if you should have noticed these signs a while back about your hip?
No, I just thought I'll put it off until it's a must have to do, and that's where I'm at now. I must have to do it if I'm going to continue to live a somewhat normal life.
Comments, anyone?
I like the fact that you mentioned forgiveness of self.
Yep.
I think that's very important.
And those are the things I worked at in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
And have been very successful with them. And forgiving myself. I mean, doing this course and being reminded all the time of the one thing that I've done was to choose a different God or whatever. However, I forget how I'm not good at remembering the words of the course, but I do have the concepts. That it's, anyways, it's gone blank.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what you said, Joan.
Yeah. In A Course in Miracles, Jesus talks about the difficulties with direct teaching of truth, because to deny is a decision not to know. What does that mean, and how might it apply with what we're talking about? What if your decision maker could have not paid attention to the signs?
Or just the ego overriding my spiritual decision.
Yeah.
If you might put it that way. My selfishness of wanting to be taken care of, or who knows. I don't know. But it did, as soon as Joan asked that question, I said, well, somebody's on the same wavelength.
Well,
not that she was asking for
belabor
the same
this
reason,
so
but
much. It's just that maybe the ego was active and the body was giving us a sign. But again, at a certain age, we're not thinking about being 80 or whatever. And so it doesn't resonate. It's not really on the radar because we think we'll live forever and death and all that stuff is just for other people, right? That's how I used to think when I was young. I never did that stuff. Oh, I had a little pain. Okay, yeah, that was just my imagination. And now I look back on it and say, maybe it wasn't my imagination. What my advice to you, sweetie, from this point is all things are lessons God would have us learn. Lesson learned. Don't overanalyze it.
okay.
It's not worth that kind of time since you're not even a body.
That's true. Thank you, Jim.
All right. Shall we?
Meta has a saying which I really appreciate. Do what you have to do until you know what you need to know. And we're all doing that. I take medicine. We're all doing that.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah, which means not to feel guilty, not to
No. And go ahead, Deb. Sorry.
Oh, no, Hildegard had a comment too. Go ahead, Hilda.
Well, who wants to go first?
You go ahead, Debbie. I follow you.
Okay. Well, I have this crazy theory. Okay. I know it's not the first time. But God gives us these experiences and we don't always know the reason why. Maybe you need to go through hip surgery, but it has nothing to do with your hip. Let me just put it out there. Something is going to happen to you during the hip surgery. And I mean it in a positive way. You know what I mean? You're gonna go through rehab, you're gonna meet different people, you're gonna, you know what I mean? Somehow or another, maybe it's in God's plan that you need to have that experience.
Yeah.
And you were readying yourself for the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
maybe that's the reason why it took that period of time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
what could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, not some things, everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, have been gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good.
Right.
Perhaps you have misunderstood his plan, for he would never bring pain to you, but your defenses did not let you see his loving blessings in the good, the bad, and the ugly. So as Debbie was saying, how the hell do we know?
Right.
But
We don't know.
I can trust that it was planned by one whose only purpose is my good, for he would never bring harm to me. So if I could weep for my innocence, I must not be seeing the truth. The good, the bad, the ugly, I just have to trust this dude knows what he's doing.
Yep.
So
And
far,
one of
it hasn't steered me badly. Comment, somebody.
One of my
think-
favorite phrases is, it's just perfect.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Hildegard.
Everything's always perfect.
I thought Hilda had something to say.
She did.
Yes.
I jumped over her. I apologize.
Go right ahead, Hilda. I see you now. Yes.
It's not that important, but I'm just kind of looking at it from a couple of different angles.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I think most of the things that happen in our lives are predetermined in one way or another, and that we don't really have much of a control over that. And secondly, we always talk about our bodies being like a uniform, and I'm kind of thinking, we have this body, and every once in a while we got to mend it and make it workable again until such a day that we don't need it anymore.
Yes.
So then we always could look at another way at it to say that if, in this case, like talking about Tweety, that maybe the fact that she would and may need a little bit of assistance after the surgery, that could be a reason for somebody else to find out that they have to be more loving, more caring toward other people. So these are all kind of things that, we really don't understand. We really don't know about it. But if we accept it, to say, well, you could say, well, you were lucky that maybe if you had had the operation 20 years ago, the technology was much more elementary, and you may not recover as quickly. You might not have recovered as quickly because that has happened as it is now.
Yeah.
Thank you for
you
that.
don't have to be in a hospital for 20 days, kind of stuff. So I think all of this, if we just accept it, and say, well, it is what it is, and I will accept it and I will respect the process, I think we'd be fine.
Thank you, Hilda.
Beautiful.
Very important.
And along this, oh, I'm sorry.
I just said that's very important what Hildegard said, because we're not going to have answers for a lot of things in life. And I can foresay that too, because of Al being sick because of negligence. Good example. Yeah, we made the most of it, but we did that for ourselves. And the fact is, do I know why it happened? I haven't got the faintest idea why it happened. I haven't got the faintest idea what Al, if he signed up for it. We just don't know. So the only thing we do know is how we respond to it. That we do know. And that's all I could do.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to know. Maybe Al knows on the other side, but I sure don't know.
Me either.
Right, none of us know.
And if we were all honest, is there anything we know for sure?
Not a lot, if nothing.
Well, the talk I did in Lansing, the one thing most of us know for sure is that we're not in control. That there's something bigger than us. I don't know what it is, but most people would agree with that. So what are our choices? I finally decided to cut my suffering and go with it, whatever the hell it is.
Mhm.
And I think my choice is to be grateful that there is this kind of surgery that can help me. For me, that's really important. I mean, that it didn't always exist.
Right, right.
That's very important.
So, did your compatriots help you out a little, sweetie?
Tremendously. Thank you all.
Keeping you in our prayers for tomorrow. We all are, okay?
Yeah, I'm just going to see the surgeon. I'm not going in for the surgery yet.
Oh, it's not. Has it even been scheduled yet?
No, that's it. He'll probably
Oh,
schedule it
okay.
after tomorrow.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Not for me personally, but I know a lot of people that have had hip surgeries and knee replacements and things like that. And at a certain point, they can't wait to get the surgery because the pain has gotten so bad trying to live with. So,
Yeah,
long story short, we wish you well.
thank you.
Do we have time to do a bit more reading? I think we do.
And I think it's my turn.
Yes, ma'am, it is, sweetie.
Okay. Number 5. At best, and the word is perhaps questionable here, the healers of the world may recognize the mind as the source of illness, but their error lies in the belief that it can cure itself. This has some merit in the world where degrees of error is a meaningful concept. Yet must their cures remain temporary, or another illness will rise instead. For death has not been overcome until the meaning of love is understood. And who could understand this without the word of God, given by him to the Holy Spirit as his gift to you?
Comments, anybody?
Well, I think sentence 2 speaks to the discussion we just had.
Not surprisingly, but sentence 2, but their error lies in the belief that it can cure itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you expound a little bit more on that?
Well, when Pat first started talking, she was trying, saying how she tried to tell herself that it wasn't the hip, that it didn't hurt, we try to play that mind game when that didn't work either.
Great example. Are you all following what Pat's saying?
I think she said that.
That's at best, according, the mind is the source of illness. Sentence 1, the world may recognize the mind as the source of illness. Is he saying it's not even the mind?
I think it goes on, says that the mind is the source of illness, but that the error is in thinking that you can then undo it and fix it.
What's it? But
by yourself.
Lies in the belief that
the mind.
So he's saying the mind can't cure itself.
Exactly.
It's the same as the Albert Einstein line that the same mind that made the problem can't cure it.
So you see, here's some more metaphors. See, we're talking about or considering the individual mind.
Right.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
But the cure comes from the universal mind.
Right.
The God mind, the Christ mind, the joined mind, the unified mind.
Yeah.
And not the separate. So even separate individual minds cannot negotiate to cure. And now do you see why the word healer is in quotation marks? Those therapists that believe that the mind can heal itself. Are we talking about a replacement mind? I can't use my mind. I have to use the universal mind.
Right.
the God mind, the Christ mind,
The real mind.
yeah, what the mind we're talking about is not the one we're thinking of within the brain. That's how I'm seeing it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, everybody on here, it certainly makes the effort and to use their, what I call spiritual mind, God's mind, the
Yes.
divine universe. There isn't
Yes.
anybody on here. You wouldn't be on here if this didn't make some sense to you.
Right. And I think everyone here is being opened up to this superior mind. And I'm starting to trust that, the wisdom of that, as opposed to the wisdom of my own mind. So even if I change my own mind according to my judgment, I'm still going to be in for problems because my own mind is where all the problems are.
That
All
makes sense.
You ready for one more and we'll start wrapping up tonight? Are we on paragraph 6?
Yes, and it's my turn.
Thank you, Ron.
Illness of any kind may be defined as a result of the view of the self as weak, vulnerable, evil, and endangered, and thus in need of constant defense. Yet if such were really the self, defense would be impossible. Therefore, the defenses sought for must be magical. They must overcome all limits perceived in the self, at the same time making a new self-concept into which the old one cannot return. In a word, error is accepted as real and dealt with by illusions. Truth being brought to illusions, reality now becomes a threat and is perceived as evil. Love becomes feared because reality is love. Thus is the circle closed against the inroads of salvation.
Wow. Pretty deep. What does some of the great minds have to say? Anything jump out at you there?
Don't do it this way.
What way?
The way this paragraph explains to it's upside down and backwards again.
So what is upside down and how should it be, Pat?
Okay, so truth being brought to illusion, reality now becomes a threat and is perceived as evil. That's all backwards. Love becomes feared because reality is love and we're afraid of it. Thus, the circle is closed against the inroads of salvation. We can't get to salvation if we're going to go this route.
Because you can't bring truth to illusions.
Yeah.
You have to end up bringing illusions to truth. What is the element involved that makes such a difference? It's that the patient has to be willing to bring the illusions to truth, which dissolves them instead of trying to bring truth into illusion, and it bumps up against the ego's denial.
Right.
The decision not to let it in.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what you were saying about how do we know we're alive by our consciousness. We have to be conscious and of our illusions. We have to be willing to bring them to the truth, be aware of them.
So there you are above the battleground, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
That is where clarity exists. You see?
Mhm.
And that's why, Gandhi, and you quoted that you can't solve the problem from the same level that created it. Isn't it all about rising up, people?
Mhm.
Is that like resurrection? Is that like realization? Is that like awakening? So when you're awakened, you become a lucid dreamer. You're in a dream, but now you know it's a dream.
Mhm.
Now you can entertain additional questions like, why am I having this dream? How did I get caught up in this dream? But man, at least now I can see an alternative, because thank goodness it's only a dream.
Mm.
I
Rewrite
don't
the
get
script.
sucked in to the same degree. Pat, you had a comment here.
I was just gonna say, rewrite the script.
Yeah, because before I didn't know I was the screenwriter.
That's right.
It makes all the difference whether I'm a victim or a creator.
Yep.
Comments from anyone?
And
Jeff?
it makes all the difference whether I'm aware that I'm dreaming or not, whether I'm the victim or creator.
Yes.
Awareness is the only.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Awareness. Seeing clearly. I can see clearly now. Right?
Yep.
You didn't know that was Course in Miracles song, did you?
Sure we did. Just like row, row, row your boat.
Okay. So remember, it's the universal curriculum. It's the only thing going on here. You may think a lot's going on, but it can all be brought to one common denominator: learning the lessons of love. That's why we're here. Why is it important to learn the lessons of love, family? Why is that so important?
That's all
That's
there
what we
is,
are.
really.
Because that's what we are.
Well, practically, it brings peace, love, and healing. And even though you may deal with terrible situations, the fact is you're more equipped to come out of it with love rather than with whatever, hate or things that affect you the rest of your life. That's why I do it. I mean, because I see the benefits of doing it.
Because it works.
Because it works.
It's
And I like it this way.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So listen,
I have a lot to learn.
did you have fun tonight? Because
Yep.
if
Yes,
you're not
thank you.
smiling, it's not spiritual. I'm telling you, that's the new spirituality. We've come a long way from guilt and sin and shame.
Hmm.
The Son of God is sinless. And so I guess with that, it's time for us to boogie on out of here for the evening, right?
Yep, the guard.
Pardon me?
I just wanted to, before I start reading the prayer of protection, I just want to say that the word of the day and unity was divine order, and I think it's quite appropriate just to
Yes.
what we're talking about, because it says, I free myself from anxiety and worry by living as a spiritual being that I am, cooperating with the order that undergirds all things. And I think this is the basis of everything, to accept what is meant to be.
Mm.
Isn't that interesting that that would be the word for today?
Right.
No surprise.
Just
No surprise.
coincidence? But no, it can't be a coincidence because there are no coincidences. So
That's
now
right.
you're going, who the hell can manage everything? Even the songs that run up together. You'd have to be pretty good to run everything.
Mm.
Okay, that would be on my God resume. We
Yeah.
had Hilda and Kat, and then we're going to close. Hilda, were you done?
Yes,
Thank you so
Ready.
much.
I'm ready.
Tricia, any parting comments? Did I see your?
No, I was pointing to God.
Oh, all right.
Question.
All right. Well, listen, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. And I'll turn it over to Hilda for our closing tonight. Thank you.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am the light of God.
I am the love of God.
I am the love of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the presence of God.
I am the presence of God.
Therefore, wherever I am,
Wherever I
God
am,
is,
God is,
and all is well. There is nothing to fear. There is only love.
Love.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Hilda.
Namaste.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tim.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome. See you next time.
Right
Yep.
on.